Hello and welcome back to Raging Loop. I'm so glad I just checked whether my microphone is getting picked up by OBS because it wasn't, and that would have been very unfortunate. Anyway, here we are, and we'll just continue right where we left off. Those three were the prime target. Alright, that's where we left off. We're about to embark on an investigation. Possibly of three different people. Not sure. I think we've had different ways this played out in the past. We've had choices where each of the, in quotation marks, non-successful paths led to a death. And I think we also had one option or like one choice where you could do everything. Who do we think is the most suspicious right now? Hisako is the journalist, right? I don't actually remember, but it's like the only name I don't recognize really. So I feel like she has to be. And I say it don't like there rings a bell, but it's not loud. I would like to investigate. I mean, we'll just start from the top. Fuck me. I wrote down one of their names, placed the paper next to my pillow, and went to sleep. Oh, this is it. You know, I mean, sometimes, partially, these are my fault for not remembering exactly where we left off and then not playing the game for 2 weeks because I just don't have time. And then suddenly it's like, oh, right, that's what we were doing. In this case, I think, as far as I remember, it wasn't even particularly made clear that that was exactly what we were going to do. Like, we're using our powers now. Our powers within the game of writing a name down, putting it under a pillow, finding out what role they are by the next day. Is it specifically what role they are, or just if they're not a werewolf, or if they are? We'll find out. But I feel like, I mean, obviously, you know, if I pay proper attention, it's kind of implied, but yeah, I don't think it was explicitly stated. Anyway, I'm still. Yeah, I would have thought about that choice more otherwise. I still think it's not a bad idea because the journalist Hisako it was. I don't think she's super influential. I think it would be good to know if she was a werewolf or not, but I don't think knowing her being any other role is super important. Kionosuke, in a similar vein, doesn't have that much support within the townspeople. I feel like it's also not a huge deal. Obviously, in both of those cases, knowing that they are townspeople or like, you know, humans or any kind of special role that isn't a werewolf would be beneficial in the sense that we could try protecting them from the rest of the townspeople, that they're not like hanged. But I think Takumi has the most influence out of these three in the town, so I feel like it would be best if we knew what role he had pretty early on, no matter whether it's a human or a werewolf. I'm retroactively justifying me just picking the first choice without thinking about it. I'm just saying it kind of worked out. I might have chosen him anyway. But I might have otherwise also just chosen Kionosuke because I like him more as a character. Anyway, we've obtained key 10, Truth of the Young Leader. 14th of May, Wednesday. I was informed of my target's affiliation the same way I was given the guardian. That was strange, but it had clearly happened, so I had no choice but to accept it. What, you got a scribble on your stomach? Okay. Anyway, it was something I'd predicted. However, what happened this morning certainly wasn't. Oh, everyone's alive? Yeah, no one had died last night. Now, easy up. The people in the dining hall were far more cheerful than yesterday morning. It was obvious why. Not one of their neighbors had died. The betrayal they'd been warned about ended up not happening at all. Some were probably even beginning to hope that the traitors, the wolves, didn't exist at all. Yasu, Fusashi, see? No one here is dumb enough to play along with something that stupid. Takumi, who put the unity of Yasumizu above all else, was especially cheerful. Well, maybe you're right. Yasunaga made a vague smile. It seemed like he was afraid to kill the good vibes here. Hanzo, however, was probably just holding back from doing that. Yunosuke looked like he was on the verge of killing the mood with some of his pessimism. I'm so glad that you are all well. Yes, what a blessing. However, he held his tongue, probably out of consideration for Tai and Rikako, who were crying in relief. Hey! What? Yoshitsugu, who was washing the dishes with me, called out to me with a stern voice. What the hell? Nothing happened. What do you mean, nothing? You have something pretty amazing going on here. Ah? You'll know more during the feast. That's got soap all over it. We do. Shut up! Yoshi's helping out? I haven't seen this in years. You shut up too. Don't cheer me on what you traced on a plate with your finger. Knock it off. Oh, you noticed. I used my lips though, not my finger. It's a chance for an indirect kiss. Yuck! That's so mean. Yeah, I'm put off too. What did they teach you while you were away? I felt that one up myself. You really are indecent. What the hell are you doing, Kamoshida? Helping? Like you. Lick, lick, lick. Don't cling with your tongue, damn it. Me too. Stop, there's zero demand for that. The dining hall sure was noisy. Haru even screamed a little. I'll look around again. With those words, Kanzo left. And so we ended up spending an uneventful morning in the dining hall together. I wasn't the only one absent-mindedly watching the clock. I wondered if she'd seen anything on her stomach when she checked. Felt like she was waiting for the feast to start, which made it seem like she had something to declare. I wonder if when you are not aware of your role at all, like when you haven't checked, if you just write something on a piece of paper anyway, just in case, and then just run with it and be like, oh, whatever. I feel like it would probably be worth it no matter what exactly it is you're doing. Because if you're a werewolf, then also we've never really talked about how it gets decided who gets killed. Like in the original, tabletop game, the werewolves open their eyes at night and decide on a victim. I guess it could be that way here too. Where the werewolves just actually are awake during the night and go kill a victim together or something like that. But I feel like that would be too risky, in a sense. I don't know. But I feel like it might be worth in any scenario, because if you're protecting someone, that's good. If you're finding out someone's role, that's good. So I think it can't hurt. When Kanzo returned and declared the start of the feast, I felt like there would be trouble. No one was against it when he said it, but it turned out that the trouble was just delayed. Don't you think it's enough, old man? Takumi said that instead of drinking from the cup. What? Why keep this up? The wolves don't want to kill the humans. I mean, I feel like the far more probable option is that, and I mean, it's not super probable, but it's far more probable is that, I can never remember who it is. The spider protected the correct human that the werewolves are going to kill. Of course, he would be the one to suggest that. Just how naive are you? You don't understand the situation at all. What are you getting at? No one died simply because the wolves went for the one who was protected by the spider. That was exactly it. Yasunaga, Haru, and even Tai had turned hostile last time. It was best to assume that those with the wolves' blessing would accept it in the murders. The spider couldn't protect themselves, meaning that they could pick 1 out of 14 people. 1/14 is about 7%. I believe we should be thankful for our good fortune and continue using the feast to dispose of the wolves. Do you think the chance that the wolves refuse their job is lower than 7%? Yes, I do. But I only do that because I know this is a game, and I have also experienced one cycle in the game already. I do actually think that what Takumi is doing here is reasonable. Like, he's certainly not the most sophisticated spirit, but I think what he's saying here is not illogical. Indeed, I believe it to be 0%. You really do know something, don't you? What's going on here? I don't know. Then why are you so certain? I merely believe we should be realistic about the situation. Listen, humans are generally peaceful creatures. Do you believe that humans are intrinsically good? I don't know much about this stuff, but peace is kept up because it's dangerous to ruin it. As long as it's protected, most people are safe. You know how no one got hanged yesterday? We had wolves with us, right? How did it turn out that way? You're being too optimistic. You simply failed to get the correct distribution of votes. He probably split up the vote to protect you. Everyone stared at Mochi in surprise. What do you mean? Well, no one voted for Uncle after Yasun, Mami, Kaori, and I, right? He needed just one more vote, but didn't get it. Makes it seem like the wolves protected one of their own. So, there's wolves among those that came after? Wait, are you saying I'm a wolf? Hey, I just wanted to mess with Uncle. Sorry. Mochi had reached the same conclusion I had. I couldn't tell if he was that sharp, or it was just so simple anyone could figure it out. I'd appreciate it if you didn't take Chikamochi's casual remarks seriously, but that was a possibility. You can't be too optimistic. So what? You're gonna hang someone even though no one died? Also, wait. I thought we were just gonna be able to, we were just told at some point. Did we never? Okay, we just had to check the... we had to check the key. I was gonna say, I mean, it's probably useful to actually know what our powers gave us. Takumi is a human. Okay. So what? You're gonna hang someone even though no one died? Someone has already died. Mamiya's sudden shouts attracted everyone's attention. Oh what? Hashimoto wasn't a person to you? Shut up. What happened to him is horrible, but it's not like that was done by one of us. Why are you so certain? Because the wolf killings and the corruption are two different things. Takumi, can I have a moment? What is it? I don't want to kill anyone, but I am a bit worried. If we're to follow Shinai's rules, the only way for us to fight the wolves is to hang them in the feast. I'm worried that throwing that away would mean the death of us all. Hey, That's why people might start to think that anyone suggesting to throw this method away is actually a wolf. Takumi looked around and noticed the chill in the air about him. He noticed that a certain worry had begun mixing with a certain suspicion. Hanzo. We're hanging someone today. Refuse that and you're a friend of the wolves. I don't want to kill anyone either. Soft. Not as soft as Takumi. See what I had in mind? Then what are we supposed to do? We didn't decide who to hang yesterday. You think that's gonna change? Not everyone's the same. The outsider lady and the lunatic have probably got something to say. It's true. Let's hear them out. And if everyone is against killing in spite of what they say, there'd be nothing left for us to do, right, Kanzo? That ain't happening. Alright. Speak up, you two. We won't get anywhere otherwise. I'll start it. I am the snake. Huh? Really? You looked and saw the mark? Yes, I am. That's why I used my power to look into someone. Okay. Interesting. There was no way. But isn't that dangerous to reveal now? The snake is extremely important. I'm saying that I found out something that makes up for that. Tai Yamawaki is a wolf. The mood of the feast suddenly did a complete 180. Interesting play. Interesting. The question now is, I mean, realistically, there's only two options. Option A, well, there's three options. Option 3 is she's a complete lunatic. But two realistic options. Option A, she's a werewolf. Probably the most likely option. In which case, she's doing something very, very risky. Because in theory, in the game, I think there are currently 14 people left. If you just go by random chance, currently there's like a 1 in 5 chance, roughly, to get a werewolf correct. Slightly higher. If you make a move like this, there is essentially you've narrowed it down to a 1 in 2 chance, because at this stage, obviously, the wolf is either Tai or Hisako to the other townspeople. It has to be one of the two. So you've reduced your chances by a lot. Now that could lead, if, for someone who's actually thinking this through, someone like Yasunaga, that could lead them to believe, okay, it's a stupid play. Why would you do that if you weren't actually the snake? Especially, and that's going to be an interesting point to see, if no one else comes out to claim that they're the snake. The problem with that is, as a werewolf, this only works, if it works, this only works for one feast. Because if the person you accused is not a wolf, everyone will immediately turn around and hang you. Which is not exactly a great play. The second option I talked about earlier is that she is a human, but she's just gone a bit rogue. That she has belief that Taya is a werewolf for some reason. She's confident about that, and she has decided to claim a role that she does not have in order to get her hanged. I think that's a more interesting option. Because the old, the evil claims to be good and, points the finger at someone is just like, yeah, it's realistic, but it's also very, uninspired. So I feel like the second option would be a lot more interesting. Either way, I don't actually think that we at this point should actually say that we are the snake. I don't think that's a good idea. For multiple reasons. Because what Hisako would also be doing this for, which kind of depends a bit on the beliefs of, how strong do the wolves believe that they need to kill all townspeople even at the cost of their own life. Because what it does also is it puts a bit of pressure on the real snake to reveal themselves. Especially if they're not someone that's particularly smart. I think it's quite likely that, if it was someone like Takumi, for example, it would be quite likely that he'd just go, no, that's wrong, I'm the snake. Which would be very, very useful information to the wolves. Which then, in my opinion, would make up for the fact that you're essentially, sacrificing yourself. Because the snake on the human side is very dangerous to the wolves. Because it's essentially the only role that can find out who the werewolves are 100% guaranteed. How they go about telling the rest of the townspeople is a different matter, but, you don't only... That's something that's also different to, a werewolf tabletop game or something like that. In this situation, you're not only allowed to talk during the feast, you can... If you have, as a human picked out, as a snake picked out some humans, you can tell them the information you gathered during the day without the others listening in on it. Which is a significant advantage the snake has in here compared to the real game. So, I feel like getting rid of the snake early on as the werewolves is a huge deal. And therefore, especially with as many people here as we have, where the chance of just randomly getting the snake isn't that high, where, you know, realistically the snake is expected to be around for like 6 days or something like that, depending on how many people they actually hang during the feast. If they hang someone every night, it's probably like 3 to 4 days, but still. I think that might almost be worth sacrificing a werewolf for. That's a lot of theorizing I've just done, but we'll see where it goes. She's a wolf. Liar, you're the wolf here. They screamed and were about to charge at each other, and the others had to hold them back. Bah, stop. No one's suspecting you. Well, that is factually incorrect. Lamia, stop. This won't help anyone. A strange fervor filled the small hall. I was getting really uncomfortable here. Do we have any others claiming to be the snake? What's that supposed to mean? Please don't shout. If you really are the snake, then keep your cool. The lack of another snake is one of the conditions for us to believe you are the real one. Again, do we have any other snakes? What was my best option here? Since I was the real snake, she was definitely a fake who was clearly talking with ill intent. That meant I had to out myself. Otherwise, she would take control of the situation. That was the right thing to do. The right way to go about it. I disagree. I knew that well. But I couldn't help but feel that I was in an extremely difficult situation here. We are not going to reveal our guardian. No, I think that's the smarter play. Because additionally, why would they even believe us? Because, I mean, that's kind of the bias of Hisako going first. But Hisako said she's the snake and revealed a werewolf. If we now go and be like, actually, I'm the snake, and reveal a human, I do not think that's more believable. Because, like, if you think about it, what is the likelihood that a werewolf would then go and try to convince the townspeople that they're actually human, and at the same time also, because they know who the humans are, they could get a human on their side. So I feel like even if we reveal our guardian, it's not going to end well for us. So no. I didn't find it reasonable whatsoever. But I decided to keep quiet. And let us continue under the assumption that Hisako Mamiya is the real snake. I mean, it sucks for Tai, but like at this point, I think percentage-wise, not outing us is the better play. If we were, you know, in a situation where we wanted to save everyone, then, you know, that obviously doesn't apply, but I don't think that's a very likely outcome to begin with. What do you mean, assumption? If there is a reason to doubt you, it would be, as Chie pointed out, your belligerence. You were so calm all this time. What happened? How can I stay calm in a situation like this? I woke up to blood text on my stomach. It's a supernatural phenomenon. And now I used it to find out that one of us here is acting all innocent. There's no way I can stay calm. You liar. This is why you young ones from the city are just... What did the others think about this exchange? Saying the old hag's a wolf? Yes, how many times do I have to say it? Old hag, you better think of a good answer to this. Are you a wolf? No. You're Shitsugu, you fool. That's it, the young ones are all Yomibito. Huh? Alright, that's enough. Why, don't say that. And Yoshi, why are you provoking her? She voted for me yesterday and I almost died because of it. That's just shady. Yoshitsugu, you better cut it out. And what's up with you, lady? Why are you shrieking and cornering an old woman like that? You wouldn't understand. Oh, this is awful. Oh, hey, people, cool off for a sec. There's not much space here, but let's sit as far away from each other as you can and calm down. That alright with you, old man? Old man Makishima looked around the circle. Settle down or you're getting punched. That was enough to bring absolute silence to the room. However, that made certain negative emotions stand out. They came out as throats clearing, tongue clicks, or sighs, among other things. Still, the silence helped people cool off. Or at least it helped me. For better or worse, I knew for certain that she was a fake. And right now I had to act accordingly. But I didn't really know what that entailed. To declare that she was a fake snake, I had to declare I was the real one. However, that meant making myself a target for the wolves. What would I do then? There would be two possible snakes, Isako Mamiya and I doubted we would be hanged right then and there. They'd probably have us investigate someone and see who was telling the truth. But I would probably be killed during that process. Oh. The Yomi team was using Mamiya as bait to draw out the real snake. He's caught on, let's go. That was the most likely scenario. I agree. I still think there's like a non-zero chance that she's just a bit mad. But yeah, that is definitely the most likely. However, this felt kinda unnatural though. Why did Mamiya claim the role? She was an outsider who had no affinity for the old stories or loyalty for the village. Drawing attention to herself like that was a dangerous move. It was even worse for her since she'd come out as a snake before anyone died, meaning there was absolutely no chance the real snake was out of the game. Then, perhaps it meant that... Enough. After 30 minutes, Kanzo resumed the feed. Uematsu, we're voting. What? Kan, I'm human. You're a wolf. You, again? Kanzo, before we vote, there's something I'd like to hear. Haruaki Fuzashi said that he would have some new information for us. So he remembered. However, I decided not to reveal that I was the snake this time. It might have helped the humans, but I felt I had to keep it hidden to ensure my own survival. Thus, I had to think of some nonsense. We were given a lot of time though, so I already had more than enough ready. First of all, I still don't have enough information to prove my innocence, unfortunately. That means I'm less capable of contributing than Mamiya, and I would like to make up for that. Can I assume that means you don't have a guardian? Seems like the obvious assumption. I like that sentence because it's so much like, I'm not going to tell you that, but if you want to assume that, you do you. Say it clear. I have no special powers. With those words, I was also a liar. However, if you let me live, I will do what I can to help you all. Said that yesterday. Unlike the first time, Kanzo seemed kinda interested in what I had to say. Of course, he'd probably throw me out the moment he felt I overstepped myself. I can provide you with strategic advice. Like, don't hang Tai or Mamiya. Interesting? Why? Huh? If Tai Yamawaki was a wolf, I doubt she's the brain behind the tactics. I said I'm no wolf. It's a what if. Now, if Mamiya isn't the snake, I say am, no one else came out. Now, I'd like to ask something. To actively survive this game, the feast, the wolves have to pretend to have guardians, right? Yes. The wolves generally stay passive and lay low to avoid raising suspicion, but that eventually tips them off to the snake. Once suspicions are raised, simply claiming to be human is no longer good enough. Declaring yourself to have a guardian at that moment would seem like a lie too, which is why doing it at a random time is far more effective. If you claim to have a guardian first, then anyone that came after would seem like the liar. That's what I kind of hinted at earlier. What's your basis for that? I'm being objective. That's why it's not certain that you're the snake. If you really are a fake, it means the other two wolves have already cut you off. Don't just go off talking like that. What's that supposed to mean? While you're making a mess of the feast in the front lines, the other wolves are doing work on their own. It probably wouldn't have been your idea in that case, and they're using your distraction to avoid drawing suspicion to themselves. That's why if we can ignore you as you make a mess of things, it means you wouldn't be as dangerous as the wolves still hiding. That is also a fair point. I think I would still personally rather take the 50-50 or, the guaranteed in the next round. But I don't hate the thought process behind it. That's nonsense. I'm the real Snake. Hey, that kind of confirms that you're a wolf. Huh? You notice something, Moshi? Well, look at her reaction to what you just said. She probably was irritated because she didn't understand her own position. If she wasn't a wolf, she wouldn't have paid any attention to it. I can't ignore any words in this situation, can I? What's gotten into you, Mochi? It's just a thought, but honestly, I agree with Yasun. We should keep her around and see how she works. Listen, saying that kind of stuff can place suspicions on yourself. Then I'm just weird, don't blame it on me. Try to speak for the humans' sake, not just your own. If Mamiya got hanged, it would be partially your fault. Oh no, I got scolded. Anyway, if we're not hanging Tai or Mamiya, are we going with Takumi's idea and not hanging anyone at all? That'd be meaningless. If we didn't lower the number of suspects, it would be a waste of the free day the spider gave us. Hanging really is in our best interests. I'll just say one thing. I believe in Ma. I think she wouldn't kill even if she became a wolf. Well, we know that to be factually untrue, but fine. Well, that just wasn't true. That's why I'll protect her. You really are a good boy. What about you, Kaori? You haven't said a thing this whole time. Oh well. And you, Wolf Guy? Wolf is coming. Forget it. Old man, what do we do? Hang both Tai and the journalist. Yep, that would also be my preferred move. Huh? For a moment we were so dumbfounded that the room was filled with utter silence. But can we actually do that in one day? Or is that possible to hang two people? But why? All's gotta hang. That's true, but one of them's human. He needs sacrifices to be sure. That's how it always was. He then got up, which made him seem larger than usual. Tai, get ready. I knew you for 60 years. You love Yasumizu more than anyone else. Why you put yourself on the line for its sake? His voice was as blunt as all. Not changing his expression at all, he pushed an old acquaintance what could be her. It didn't matter to him, if the person was friend or family. He had his own line of thinking and clearly knew what had to be done. Friend or outsider meant nothing in the face of this situation. There was no room for hesitation or mercy. Will you and Takumi look after my remains? And his kind of madness was shared by everyone in Yasumi. Please, I don't want to. Takumi, I'm not a wolf. If you believe that, vote for the woman. If I still get hanged, then it must be the will of Shinai. Alright, Uematsu. Yes? We vote. Yasunaga was looking at the floor with a pale visage. I probably didn't look all that different from him. The silent alliance he and I had made was crushed by Kanza. It was a moment of defeat. The old man's words quickly ended the battle between reason and... Was there any way for us to resist it? Like yesterday, the voting began with the old wolf. You! Wolf! Ooh. He acted the same way as before, but the one he pointed at this time wasn't me, but Tai. You too, you cursed. He even understand the situation. I'm voting for the journalist. Of course you would. Me too. Or Mamiya? Yes. I'm voting for you, journal lady. I knew you would. The votes so far were about what you'd expect. Kaori, you're next. Her position in all this was strange. Though she was an adult, she tended to listen to Yasunaga and ask for his opinion often. I had no idea who she would vote for, but I soon found out. I never could have guessed it. One for Takumi Muro. Naturally, that shocked everyone. Kaori, why? Some of this is too complicated for me, but I'm prepared to, if need be, suspect the one I didn't want to suspect at all. I think she's overthinking it. That's how I'm throwing away my vote. Hope you understand that too. So you don't think I'm a wolf, but you're voting for me to make me snap out of it? There is no proof that you aren't a wolf, and I don't believe you are doing what you must, Takumi. What are you talking about? What the hell? I don't get it. Kaori didn't change her vote, and Takumi ended up actually getting one. My turn. Complicated. Next up was Kyonosuke, who'd had little presence today. While it's reasonable to hang both of them, I believe we are undervaluing the one claiming to be the snake. I shall vote for Muro. You too. You'd be even more mad if I voted for Lady Yamawaki. Also, I changed my opinion of the newcomer a bit. Me? Yes, I have nothing more to say though. Did he realize? Like yesterday, I'm voting for Nosato. My reason is the same as yesterday. But now I would also like to state that I wish to see how Mamiya acts going forward. By the way, why did you choose Tai as your target? I didn't know what to do, so I just wrote out whoever came to mind. So you picked Tai randomly. I see. That's all from me. What is all this? I'm adding a vote to Uncle. Gen Chikamochi. Well, I do think that the Mamiya lady's a wolf. But if Yasun wants to see what she does, I'll play along with that. Thanks, Mochi. I'm not changing my opinion. One vote for the old hag. You corrupt little... My turn, huh? Sorry, Mamiya. I'm voting for you. Hi, I'm the snake. I mean, you weren't like this yesterday. What's with the change? Wait, it might be the badger Haruaki talked about. Her words caused a stir, but not a big one. They didn't seem to understand. The badger talk from yesterday didn't stay in their minds. If you are, please say so. Badgers are humans, so they don't have to die. I'm not. I'm the snake. Hear me. Takumi, I'm not taking your side here. I was actually thinking about voting for Tai. You too? What? Why? Because I can't just take sides here. You understand that too, don't you? You want to kill Mamiya just because you like Tai. That's not like you at all. I just hoped it would bother you the way it does the rest of us. Sorry I'm like this. You too, Ba and Mamiya. I wouldn't blame you if you hate me. That's all from me. Next, who are you picking, Haru? Huh? I guess I'll choose Nosato too. I always put in danger just because of childish whims. He sure had an unfortunate role this time. Uematsu's next. I shall vote for Yamawaki. Uematsu. We cannot undervalue claiming to be the snake. I am sorry if Mamiya turns out tending to her. I will deliver due punishment. Very well, I understand. Meiko, will you pick? Even the brat hates you. I don't care about being hated by a Saranaga child. Haruaki. What was I supposed to do? Mamiya was tied with Tai at 4 votes, while Kyonosuke had 3 and Takumi had 2. It was Mamiya's turn right after mine. She'd definitely vote for Tai, meaning that she effectively had 5 votes. So, if I voted for Mamiya, I would bring it to a final vote, but if I voted for Tai, she would definitely be hanged. It's interesting because we're kind of gambling on whether the final, deciding vote would lean in favor of Tai or Mamiya. Because if it leans in favor in the sense of in favor of hanging Tai, then voting for Mamiya here only puts a target on her back. I mean, there's, 4 other people who voted for her, but voting for... actually, does it make a difference? Now that I think about it, I don't think it does. Because, reasonably, if you think about it, it would only make a difference if the werewolves could then like suspect, okay, he's believed us this round or whatever. If they then have some benefit for it, for a future night or a future feast or whatever, but we will immediately find out that Taya was innocent, potentially, or or she was a wolf. But in this case where she's innocent and Mamiya is a wolf, we immediately find out that Taya was innocent and Mamiya is the wolf. So there would be no benefit for the werewolves, or for us in the view of the werewolf. If you know what I'm saying. Were those my only choices here? Would a vote condemning someone to death really be meaningful? A vote for Kionosuke was bound to be pointless. I couldn't use it as a message of any kind, and it wouldn't be a good way to repay him for avoiding picking me. What if I voted for that guy over there, though? If I vote for Takumi, for someone I know is human, there is a theoretical chance that Mamiya would also... Well, that doesn't... There's no point to that, though. Wait, is Takumi on 3 votes currently? Wait, let me look back in the log. No, Takumi had 2. So if I vote for Takumi, what is even the point? I don't think there's anything logical that comes from that. He'd go to 3 votes, Hisako would vote for Taya, and that's it. Taya dies. And it doesn't get the wolves off my back, because next round we know Taya was whatever she was, and then, what I said earlier, essentially. I'm trying to come to a logical conclusion on why he would even think to vote for Takumi. But we will vote for Hisako. I should leave this up to a final vote. Though I wanted to see what Mamiya would do if it was between someone I knew was a human and a wolf. It was the wolf who should die. Wait. What Mamiya would do if it was between someone I knew was a human and a wolf? What is he talking about? Oh, I see what we're talking about. Ah, okay. I still don't really understand. I still don't really see what we're doing. Because, like, what he's saying is, if both of them are at 4 votes, then the people who are at 4 votes are, well, we'll ignore Mami is also at 4 votes, but Hai, who she claims to be a werewolf, we don't know what role she has, and Takumi, who we know is human, who, claims to be human, whatever, who she also hasn't said anything about. But why would she ever choose Takumi? Because they're... Like, if Mamiya is a wolf, to her, they are both human. So it doesn't matter who she chooses. So why on earth would she change her vote? That makes no sense at all. That would just make her super suspicious. And if Mamiya is human, then she knows in her mind, or whatever game she's playing, that she claimed that Tai is a wolf. So obviously she also still has to vote for her. There is no reasonable scenario where she doesn't vote for Tai. So I don't know what we are talking about, but alright. I explained my reasons to Mamiya. As expected, Mamiya threw a fit, practically foaming at the mouth, and voted for Tai. Now we were in the final vote. Yeah. You, old lady. I vote for the journal lady. Yeah, same here. If that's your decision, then I believe I shall vote for Mamiya. Well, if I had to say, I believe Mamiya is more suspicious, but I'm curious as to what she will do, so I vote for Yamawaki. It was 2-3 with Mamiya in the lead. Now it's up to the village youth. I'm curious as to why Nurses would want to protect her. 1 vote for Mamiya. 2-4. So that's your play, Yasin. I'm voting for Tai. I'm curious to see what this lady'll do tomorrow. 3-4. I'm voting for the journal lady. She's fishier than the old hag. 3-5. I'm voting for Tai. They both flipped out, so they're both fishy though. 4-5. I guess I'll vote for Mamiya. 4-6. I believe that we shouldn't mistreat those who claim to have guardians. My apologies. Bye, Yamawaki. 5-6. I can only vote for one of them, and the old lady. 6-6. Did Mako even have a clear target? Everyone's eyes were focused on me. My vote would decide it all. Being an outsider just like her, I could sympathize deeply with Mamiya. Her stories were very interesting. She was pretty, and if it weren't for all this, I could see myself getting on pretty well with her. Much more than Tai, sad as it was to say. However, the rationality of the Feast of the Yomi Purge did not allow me to choose her. I'll vote for Mamiya. I don't think this is a good choice. I think the better percentage play would be to kill Tai and kill Mamiya next night. Next feast. Because essentially now, all we're doing is just wasting the feast. Essentially, to put it simply, what we're doing right now is relying on luck. Because, in theory, there's always the chance that the wolves randomly pick someone and the snake randomly, the spider randomly protects them, and everyone's happy and stays alive. But that doesn't change our situation. The game doesn't, it can't go on forever. We're kind of waiting it out and seeing if, we can pick out a werewolf at night or something like that. Whereas removing both Tai and Hisako from the equation would mean we get 1 werewolf guaranteed, which, as the townsfolk, is massively beneficial. Whereas this night, essentially, unless the werewolves are absolutely dumb, or the spider has some ridiculous superpowers of foresight, very likely just 1 human will die tonight. Anyway, so I get what they're going for in terms of we want to save everyone, but it's just not realistic. And it's much more likely that this way everyone will die, except for the wolves, rather than, at least some humans survive this. Is that okay? And then it happened. Okay, she's screaming. Mamiya darted off with a scream as she made a break for the exit, nearly tripping on her own feet. After her. Get the fuck up. How? Let me go. Bring the rope, hurry. But, she's not gonna get killed. It's 7-7, isn't it? Or wait, do the... Wait. I forgot. Oh no, I was being stupid. My apologies. No. This is all right. My apologies. I forgot that the people who were in the deciding vote don't get a vote for themselves. I kind of assumed Taya had already voted for Mamiya, which is why I assumed it would end up in a draw again. But no. Okay. In that case, everything makes perfect sense. I agree with everything that happened. We're all good. right here. Stop! How would I feel in Mamiya's shoes? She'd been bound and gagged, having her freedom and right to speech stolen from her. To her, she was a foreigner who'd been hunted down and cornered by a community rooted in strange traditions. An absurdly irrational ending where she'd been punished for rules she didn't agree with one bit. Were it not for the looping and my past knowledge, I'd probably be thinking along the same lines. But from the way she was acting, it didn't look like she'd come up with the idea to play a fake snake on her own. Yeah, that would make sense. Had the other two wolves pressured her into it? In that case, there were wolves amongst us who'd driven her to her death and were playing dumb. Is it worth it, in this situation, to just go and ask Mamiya to reveal the other two wolves? Because clearly she must feel betrayed right now. So, but that depends on whether, like, how deep the indoctrination of the wolves is. Would she, even as she had been betrayed as a complete outsider, have too much loyalty towards the wolves to give away her own, essentially? But still, actually, ignoring that, it would still be good to just to get her to say two names, because we can actually investigate them. So we'll know immediately if she's telling the truth or not. The only problem is that would once again put a target on our back. It's difficult. Nison's guardians are. We passed through the mist and walked towards the graveyard. 5. Prepare for the feast when guests arrive. Everyone was singing prayer to Shinai. Shinai's guardians are. I couldn't tell who had started it or when they did so. 8. Death of the damned Yomibito, the mandate. The sobbing mixed with singing made it seem like an old funeral, but it was actually an execution. Painfully, slowly, we walked through the path leading to the cliff next to Saranaga. I was already used to this, thanks to all the cleanups. Everyone dragged Hisako Mamiya bound head to toe along with them. 7. The corrupt Yomibito rise to oppose the mountain. Before I knew it, even I had joined the singing, creating a perfect unity group. Eventually, we reached our destination. It was downhill, beyond the trees wet with dew, in a grass field covered in stones, marking the lives of those who used to live here. Strangely enough, the aged pine tree right at the end could be seen easily, despite the mist. As we stopped, so did the song and emotion. Mamiya struggled against her bonds to the bitter end, was unable to escape them. And so Kanzo tied the rope around her neck and threw her down in the misty valley. Right after she landed, we heard a disturbing crunching noise instead of a death wail. Her cervical vertebrae had been damaged when she'd been hung, so her death had practically been instant. I hoped she hadn't suffered long, at least. All I felt was pity, cringing on heartlessness toward a fellow outsider who'd been caught up in all this. Afterwards, we all returned to the dining hall where Kaori and I served a light lunch while time passed by. Everyone tried to act as normal as possible. They tried to convince themselves that Mamiya shouldn't have been in Yasumi's in the first place, so her absence was only natural. However, it was clear that they felt guilty for committing murder. Killing someone no one liked and talking as though none of it had ever happened was a horrible group mentality. But that was the truth of the Feast of the Yomi Purge. For a group brought together to kill the wolves and not actually hunt them down and kill them was madness bordering on suicidal. So it was what it was. We'd had to kill her, Simple as that. Don't worry too much, Fuzashi. Takumi comforted. I must have looked guilty. He's right. You just happened to get the final vote, that's all. It was what we'd all decided. No matter what you picked, it helped. Who voted for Michi? Yeah, sorry, but I couldn't vote for both of you. I'm sorry, Taya. I understand if you can't forgive me. It's alright. That's the feast. A reconciliation. Normally that would be cause for celebration. But what would happen tomorrow? Anyway, I'd thrown away my chance to reveal I was the snake and choose to keep it hidden. So long as I had to avoid fatal situations and keep hiding my identity until a more favorable opportunity presented it. When would that be? When would a better opportunity than this feast occur? Well, the thing is, if we just know that Mamiya is a werewolf now, then that actually makes it very easy again. Because then we know she wasn't a snake, so, we can reveal it technically whenever, at a good point. If Mamiya, for some reason, turns out to be human, then that's a bit of a problem. Was there anyone I trusted who I could share my secrets, meet with, and take on the feast with all in one day? Well, I mean, we can trust Takumi as a human. I don't trust him to not do something stupid and give away some important information. That seems like my only option. But it might still be worth it to just go for it anyway. Just because it would be that crucial to have someone on your side during the Feast of the Yomi Purge. I grappled with those unsatisfied thoughts as dinner ended and I returned to my hut. Murder really didn't pay. Even in this situation. Even when I could loop. Actually, no. It was because I could loop that I could keep these memories of being a murderer and move on to the next time if I screwed up. I took her life. I would take this extremely reviling and terrifying taste of omnipotence with me to the grave. It didn't feel good to know I could have been bound by my experience. I could be bound by my experience. I don't know. I remember those thoughts running through my head as I absent-mindedly wrote someone's name down and put it under my pillow. This is not the time to do things absent-mindedly, Haruaki. And then I lost consciousness. In the end, I never woke. Why had the wolves chosen this point to go after me? I couldn't understand it. I'd even refrained from revealing my guardian to avoid drawing suspicion. In that case, I must have already been pretty high on the wolves' hit list. And my actions today had crossed some line, or maybe they'd already decided to kill me today and nothing to do with it. I didn't know. It was pointless to think about. That was how the Feast of the Yomi Purge was. No matter how much logic I tried to apply, it could all come crashing down on a whim. No, perhaps logic wasn't even all that important. Though I'd already died. I felt like those bitter thoughts continued even after. I don't remember my last moments very well. Before long, my consciousness eroded away and faded like the mist that comes. Yeah, the important thing to remember in this game is that even if you as a human play everything perfectly, there is still a very good chance you die anyway, because the game is just stacked incredibly heavily against everyone surviving. Like, that's just not happening. Pretty much guaranteed. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone did the math or something like that and figured out that, like, at a random game of werewolf, the chances of everyone surviving is like 0.10 zeros afterwards 1% or something like that. Like 1 in like a trillion games or whatever, because it's that impossible. So yeah, it just happens sometimes. You can play perfectly and you'll still die anyway, because also additionally, this doesn't really apply if you just get like 10 random people together. But for people who know each other, people who are very analytical and tend to, think about things are very high on the werewolf skill list to begin with. Like someone like Mako is not going to be high on a werewolf skill list just because she probably is not going to influence the townspeople much. She can vote, but other than that, she's not going to do much. So it's always going to be the people who do a lot of talking and appear to be smart at least that are going to be high up on the list. Happened. Is what it is.